are many coaches in the game of basketball that would love to coach a lineup like he's going to work with in this game. Many All-Americans, 12 standouts, and Brian Haney, is there any way Canada can expect an upset in this game against the United States?
I think so. I think that they have the ability and they should have the confidence that they can play with this club. And I think when you're talking in terms of upset, one of the things they have to do is pack the defense tightly on the inside. Probably we're going to see Canada play quite a bit of zone defense today and try to surround Patrick Ewing as an example on the inside and test the United States shooting from the outside. One of the weaknesses, if there are any on this U.S. squad, could be outside shooting, particularly in their starting backcourt. They have some excellent pure shooters on the bench, but it then, of course, would force the U.S. to get into a substitution pattern, and probably I think that's going to be the first line of attack that Canada will take, is to try to pack the defense tight and force the outside shots.
You see an awful lot of those flags here in the Forum, which seats 17,500 for basketball. It's not full for this afternoon game, but it is nearly full, and of course predominantly American fans to see the USA. The American women's team won convincingly this morning, defeating Australia 81-47. And then we had an upset in the men's competition. As you look at Patrick Ewing of the USA, China defeated France 85-83 in an upset. And then Korea defeated Yugoslavia 55-52 in the women's competition. So the Korean team that edged the Canadian women last night are for real. They came back today and upset Yugoslavia. So the Korean team, once again, going basically with only 5 players, scored another victory today. As far as the standings in the group these teams are in, France is 0-2, Canada is 0-1, China is now 1-1, Uruguay, Spain, and the United States each with a victory in their only start. 4 teams out of the 6 move on to the medal competition. Canada wearing the red uniforms, the United States in the white. And the handshakes to start the game. Now the referees. Fiorito of Italy, Kotleba of Czechoslovakia. And Knight generally starts a different 5 for every game. He doesn't consider a starting 5. And for Canada, number 8, Kazanowski, number 14, Wilger, number 9, Triano, number 5, Sims, and number 6, Eli Pasquale, the starting 5. As Patrick Ewing, 7 feet tall, goes in to take the center jump against 6'11" Wilger. And the USA wins the opening tip to start the game. Bringing the ball up, number 7 is Vern Fleming. Now to Sam Perkins, great player at North Carolina with Michael Jordan. Fleming puts it in high to Perkins, or to Patrick Ewing rather, and his shot tipped away. And the ball is held, but Sims is going to get called for the first foul here. Now in international basketball, the first 8 fouls, unless it's a shooting foul, just results in the ball going out of bounds to the team of the player fouled. Once you get beyond 8 personals, then the players go to the foul line. USA controlling the ball. Fleming from the corner. Watched by number 9, Triano. Ball batted loose. This is Eli Pasquale. Controlling the ball. He's the point guard for Canada from the University of Victoria. And Tony Sims just missed with his first shot. And the United States come up court, Fleming with the ball.
I think we're seeing Canada start out in a man-to-man defense here, and that's probably a good move on Jack Donaghy's part, just to test the waters, and they'll switch to a zone later. And that's one of the reasons they better get into a zone, is because players like Sam Perkins are going to isolate Canadian forwards inside, and they've got a little bit of a side advantage.
Sam Perkins gets the first basket of the game. 6'9" from North Carolina. So it's 2-0 USA. We played 1 minute and 4 seconds. So about the 1 minute mark, the opening basket. Triano. Pasquale. Watched by Fleming. Pasquale to Sims. Underneath the Wilger. Here's the ball up and in. Kazanowski. Gerald Kazanowski for Canada ties it at 2.
Excellent play, and that's the experience, comes from experience, Wilcher to Kazanowski, that they've gained over the last couple of seasons. They really know where each other are in terms of the high and low post, and if Canada gets the ball low, they'll look for Kazanowski coming off that high post.
Jordan went up, and the ball goes on the right side. Perkins who hits. Sam Perkins. 4-2 USA. Perkins with the opening 2 baskets for the United States. Eli Pasquale to Triano. Wilger feeding it in, but there's a foul down the lane. Pasquale from Sudbury, Ontario, and I imagine they're still celebrating in Sudbury for Alex Bauman, but they must be also very proud of this fine little basketball player, Eli Pasquale, now with the ball. It was the first USA foul as Fleming picked up the personal. Greg Wilger from Victoria. Kazanowski fed it to Pasquale, rolled it to Wilger. A hard hit there as Sims was bumped while going for the ball. And the foul was on Michael Jordan.
It's hard to believe that Canada is going to face a tougher test offensively in the Olympic Games. The U.S. team is very strong defensively. Jordan bumped Sims there, but the philosophy of the defense for the USA is to deny the cutter access to the lane. So when Canada cuts a man to the basketball, the U.S. players are going to try to step up and take his path away.
Well, you saw Sims throw the ball inbounds, but unfortunately for Canada, it was a bad pass, and the turnover has the United States in possession. USA leading 4-2. Jumper from the side, hangs on the rim, no good. Wilger up there fighting for the rebound. And a real battle under the basket with Vern Fleming. And I think they're calling a foul on Greg Wilger. Or is it just a jump ball? No, it's a jump. So the jump ball will be in the Canadian backcourt. Wilger has the height advantage here at 6'11", but Jordan gets the ball, stuffs it. Michael Jordan, the American College Player of the Year, and that means he beat out a lot of players.
He beat out a lot of players, and that was a terrific move. And one of the things that Jack Donahue is going to want to do is try to break Michael Jordan's rhythm. He certainly doesn't want Jordan to get hot where he takes control of the game and is able to dominate the basketball game.
6-2 for USA, nearing the 3-minute mark, 20-minute half. Triano puts it up, doesn't hit. Sims fighting to hit the rebound. Was fouled, driving for the basket, as Sims drew that foul.
That's a good effort by Tony Sims on the backboard. One of the things Canada must do is get themselves in position for some second shots. We've got to have some offensive rebounds to take some pressure off the primary shooters in their offense.
25-year-old Tony Sims, who was born in the West Indies, but calls Toronto his home, played at Boston University.
And has an opportunity to make the New York Knicks after these Olympic Games. He's going to get an invite back to the veteran camp. They know of Tony pretty well. The assistant coach of the Knicks, Rick Pitino, was Tony's college coach while at BU.
And he hits his first shot. Now Sims with the second. Now he gets a third. In international basketball, 3 chances to make 2. So fouls can be a little more costly. Forward if he misses. Sims hits his second foul shot, and it's 6-4 for the United States.
Now this is a good move, Jim. Canada's taking the pressure defense right to the USA.
Real trap there on the press, but Americans get the ball up court. Sam Perkins, number 14. To Vern Fleming, who's from the University of Georgia. Now big Patrick Ewing from Georgetown at 7 feet, moves towards the front of the basket. There's the jumper hit by Jordan. And it's 8-4 for the United States. Notice the very wide international key. Can't be in that shaded area for more than 3 seconds unless in possession of the ball. Eli Pasquale. Jay Triano from Niagara Falls. Gerald Kazanowski fouled as his arm was grabbed by Sam Perkins.
USA team is a little bit anxious on the defensive end of the floor here. They want to exert some pressure, and they want to push the offense out to the extremities, but Canada's taking their time, and I think you see the result of that in terms of getting Perkins reaching around.
Jay Triano hasn't got that shooting eye. Had quite a bit of room there to put that jumper up, but it was short.
Well, sometimes you have too much room. You start to steal the ball instead of shoot the ball naturally, but Jay will work it out over the course of the first half.
Fleming.
We've got a change in defense now, Jim. Canada has now changed to a zone. They're in that 2-3 zone, and they're going to try to pack the middle tightly now and force the U.S. to prove themselves from the outside against it.
Fleming from in the key, hits without much trouble. The United States 10, Canada 4. As Vern Fleming gets his first basket. Sims bringing the ball up, but being trapped there, crowded, but got away from it and passed it off to Eli Pasquale. Gets the ball loose to Wilger. And another foul call. And the crowd doesn't like the call on big Patrick Ewing. And there's Jack Donahue.
I think one of the things that's happening here is the pressure defense of the U.S. squad is going to make Eli Pasquale work very, very hard over the course of the game. And Jack is going to have to get some performance off his bench in terms of giving his starting guards a break now during the game.
Triano took a real heavy hit as he shot the ball. He was hit in the face. Here's a layup and a stop by Jordan. The basket is waved off. And the crowd responding here as a foul had been called, but way back down court.
Pasquale made a great move here. He lost it on camera, but he held his position defensively and caused the charging foul on Robertson after the pass. And that's one of the reasons why young players have to work on stopping and getting their backside down and stopping as they release the pass in a fast break so that they don't let the momentum carry them through into a situation where they can charge a defensive player.
Pasquale losing possession of the ball, and then he grabs and gets a personal foul until you get to the 8 foul mark. And now let's break for basketball, and at the swimming, here is Ted Reynolds.
Okay, Jim Robson, thanks. I guess Donahue's got his hands full.
Have been used for other exciting moments in a very busy day in ABC's coverage of these 1984 Olympic Games. That is Tony Sims. He loses control of the ball as he bangs into Patrick Ewing.
That's intimidation. Ewing just took up a lot of room, and this has been Canada's problem. They're afraid to shoot the ball. They look like they're just a little tight, and they have to loosen up if they're going to get in this game.
Comes outside now to Eli Pasquale. Pasquale to Sims, and Sims goes in, forces the shot, and gets away with it. Takes it off the glass to make it a 14-6 ball game. U.S. Robertson, Fleming outside. Jordan, Ewing, and Perkins on the front line for the U.S. Jordan. Michael Jordan having a big ball game. He has now scored 8 points. He had 14 in the opening win over China. And Canada comes down court in a hurry. But now they have to pull up as the U.S. gets back and sets himself in a tough man-to-man defense. They just claw you to death. They give you no breathing room. Kazanowski, Triano, and Wilshire out in front now. Take it inside to Triano. Too far. Can't make the play. Lose the ball on the bad pass. This is Alvin Robertson. He loses the ball. Bounces right back to him, and he scores. And a charging call against Robertson. The basket will count. Pasquale, for the second time, gets flattened on the floor for the foul.
What happens in this transition break right now is we come down the middle. Robinson loses the ball. He comes right back with it, makes a lunging score, and you got the charge underneath. The basket is good. Canada right now, Keith, to me, they're forcing too many passes. They've got to spread themselves out, work for the kick pack, a cross-court pass shot, and get the open shot.
That's a force there by Sims, and Kona just couldn't do it, but Pasquale picks it up, and you've got a whistle, and they're going to call goaltending.
Goaltending.
That's imaginative.
Let's take a look and see where he gets this call. The ball goes up. Well, that's a tough one to call, in my opinion.
It's ridiculous is a better description of it.
There's no way from the angle of that basket. The shot was on the way up. He made complete control. And it was a block. Here it comes up. That's a total block. It was on the way up. It was not a goaltending call. United States has every right.
I think he's changed his mind now. He's got Jack Donahue all stirred up over there, walking down the sideline as they go toward the scorer's table. And I think perhaps the hand signal by the referee, who is Fiorito of Italy, may have been misunderstood. So they're trying to resolve matters now, and obviously here's a New Yorker living in Canada who is talking to an Italian and a Czechoslovakian. So it gets a little complicated sometime. And right now the dialect from Indiana is not involved. Bobby has retreated and gone back to his basketball team, leaving the debate to Jack Donahue.
What has set this game tempo? The United States has come out with real aggressive pressure man-to-man defense. They like to funnel the ball down the sideline. They really help out to the ball. Canada is anxious trying to go to the middle. That's playing the United States game. If they get the reversal pass to the weak side, they're going to get some jump shots.
Okay, we're still continuing our debate. We've got a momentary timeout at the Forum. USA 18 and Canada 6.
Confusing Bobby Knight not protest that call a little bit more.
I'm also surprised to see the officials change We've seen mistakes, but it isn't very often after a discussion they decide to change it. In basketball, they don't overrule one referee over another. So it was 18-8, and now it's back to 18-6. So a basket by Tony Sims is wiped off the score sheet, and they call the jump ball. And Greg Wilger, number 14 for Canada, 23-year-old from Victoria, goes in on the jump against 7-foot Patrick Ewing. The battle for the ball goes on as Sims is scrapping with Alvin Robertson. Robertson getting up slowly. I think it's going to be a pretty rugged game.
Oh, it's going to be a rugged game. Tony Sims really hustled well after the basketball. He cut in front of Robertson there, and that's what you've got to do in a jump ball situation, because one team gets positioned with two white jerseys, in this case the USA, and when the ball is tipped, Tony hustled in front and got his hand on the basketball. Now, I think Jack Donahue is going to try to start to play havoc with the officials now. We've had 2 stoppages in the game. Jack's internationally known. He'll intimidate the officials a little bit and try to gain some advantage in terms of the continuity of the ball game and try to stop the clock more often.
Perkins. That's Robertson, number 8. USA controlling Perkins back to Robertson. Alvin Robertson bumped into Pasquale, and Fleming puts up the shot and hits it. Vern Fleming, 6'5", 22 years of age, from the University of Georgia. And there the ball went through the hands of Tony Sims, and here's Fleming again, dribbling in and pivoting and laying it on the rim, but not in. And look at the bodies flying underneath the basket as Sims was knocked down, and a foul is called by one of the officials on Vern Fleming. And I think these officials are going to have a tough time coping with these aggressive players and these aggressive coaches, Bobby Knight and Jack Donahue.
I think you're right. One of the things the officials have to strive to do, like all good officials, is simply be consistent. If they're going to call the game tightly, then they've got to be consistent and maintain that type of a rhythm. If they're going to let contact go, then they've got to be consistent and let it go. If they start to let some contact go and then call other contact, then they're going to have some problems develop.
Now some substitutions in this for the United States, including Leon Wood, number 5, who was spectacular in the opening game for the United States as they easily defeated China. It's 20-6 for the United States, just past the 8-minute mark in the 20-minute first half. They're working on a 30-second clock here in international basketball, but they're not using much of the time, and there's the first basket for Chris Mullen.
And Mullen, along with Steve Alford, the freshman out of Indiana, Mullen, of course, from St. John's University, are the 2 pure shooters on the U.S. team. But I'll tell you, before Mullen came in the ball game, Michael Jordan and Fleming and Robertson didn't look like they lacked any shooting skill either. I think in sports, of course, everybody's looking for cracks in the system, and the U.S. has been reputed to be weak in the perimeter game, not really great outside shooters, but sometimes that can work in favor of a team like the U.S. because those kids are reading that stuff. They've got a lot of pride, a lot of self-esteem, and they're going to come out and prove people wrong. So if Canada's going to be successful in this zone, not only do they have to pack tight, but they've got to recover to the extremities, out to the perimeter quickly, and give some pressure to the outside shooters.
The foul to Patrick Ewing as Pasquale goes to the foul line and hits. Eli Pasquale hitting at the foul line. Pasquale hits a second free throw, and it's United States 22, Canada 8. Now the ball being brought up court by Leon Wood. Plays in California here. California State Fullerton. Jump shot hanging on the rim. That shot by Robertson failed to drop. And Wennington, number 12 in the ballgame for Canada, rebounds and feeds it up to Tony Sims. Sims had the ball knocked out of his hands and a foul called.
We'll return live to Jim Robson and basketball team. Just a reminder, coming up late.
And using a lot of substitutions here in the early stages. Are in command of the game, as was expected, although Canada, Brian Heaney, have worked, especially Tony Sims. I think he's been their most aggressive and impressive player.
Well, Tony's played very well. You're going to give him a little break here right now is Danny Mahar, who also is a very aggressive player and has proved to be a spark plug for the Canadian team off the bench, will come in and take position in that front court. I think for the first time we're seeing both Greg Wilshere and Bill Wennington in the ball game together today. And that's the added size that Jack Donahue is going to try to counteract the great board play by the U.S. Squad with. The 2 7-footers give Canada the twin tower. They also changed their offensive formation a little bit. They go to more of a single guard front with Pasquale all alone on the offensive end of the court, and the big guys go down and screen for Mahar and Triano and pop them to the wings, and then they try to establish a low post game.
Jay Triano has just picked up his first personal. Tony Sims goes to the bench there, as you noticed, replaced by Mahar, because Sims now has 3 personal fouls.
The Canadian team is also back in a man-to-man defense now after that timeout. So after the 2 timeouts, Canada changed their defenses, going from a man-to-man to a zone after the first one, and now out of the zone and back to a man-to-man.
5 is Leon Wood. There's the jumper from the side off the rim as John Koncak from SMU tried the shot, and a foul is called underneath. And it's been a parade of fouls.
Well, it's very physical inside. There are a lot of big players, big, strong players, and when the ball goes up on the rim, everybody's going after it, so there's bound to be some contact.
Chris Mullen, number 13, to put the ball in place from St. John's of the New York area. Now moving for the basket. Mullen puts it up with a nice soft touch. It hangs on the rim, doesn't drop. The rebound taken by Greg Wilger, number 14 of Canada. And now Eli Pasquale brings the ball up court with 8:52 left in the first half. United States 26, Canada 10. Triano driving, try to pass through all those arms, didn't get through. And the shot dropped from the side by Bill Winnington, the 7-footer from Montreal. And he is a teammate of Chris Mullen from St. John's University. Playing against each other today, of course. And the ball is cleared again by Wilger. It's loose on the floor. Second down and 3, I guess you'd say, after that pileup, with 4 players scrapping for the ball. 8:22 left in the half. And Michael Jordan has 8 points for the United States to lead them in scoring. It's been pretty well spread. Tony Sims has 4 to lead Canada in that category. Americans have substituted a lot already. Wilger getting it ahead to Pasquale. Eli Pasquale putting it up, hits it.
It's a good sign now. Basketball games are played in ebbs and flows, and Canada scored 2 straight field goals. This could be a little run for them, and if it happens, then Canada could put themselves back in the ballgame by the time the half rolls around.
But Mullen wipes that out with that shot from the left. Chris Mullen, very soft shooter. He's 6'6", very good outside shooter. And he was 21 years of age yesterday. Chris Mullen. Now it's 28-14, and again a steal now, a fast break there. 3-on-1, the ball laid up and in by Steve Alford. A 19-year-old, the youngest player on the American team, youngster from Indiana.
The pressure defense takes its toll time after time coming up the court, and one of the things that Canada cannot afford to do is start to turn the basketball over. They've got to try to get good shots at the hoop every time they get an offensive possession.
Triano shot missed. Leon Wood down the middle. Alford from the corner, and there's a pileup underneath the basket with players on the court as the shot is missed. A foul is called. 7:18 left in the half. 30-14 is the score, and Bobby Knight is upset.
Another smart play by Pasquale, but watch Wood. He stands up and he keeps running after he makes the pass. What you've got to do is drop down into a squat and break your momentum. When you're going to make a pass from the middle on a fast break, you've got to stop at the foul line and read the defense, and then you don't get yourselves into those kind of problems. But Pasquale reacted good and picked up the charge.
Smart play by Pasquale if he can survive that many collisions. Mahar's shot tapped away. Pasquale puts it up, and it's on the rim, but no good. Pasquale again from the side, and this time he hits, and little Eli Pasquale gets his second field goal, his 4th point, and you see a 14-point lead for the United States. There's a lot of size coming down that lane with Pasquale standing in there like on that last collision with Wood, and it's Wood with the ball. It's tipped out of bounds. Maybe a smart play to stand there and draw the foul, but a little jarring.
Oh, it'll be jarring over the course of the game, but Eli's a gutsy player, and he's made his reputation on that. And plays like that are inspirational for a ball club, too, and that's part of his leadership character. He's willing to stand in there against the big guys and take the hit.
Mullen taking, passing to the corner. Alford puts it up, hits.
Well, the scouting report on Steve Alford was right, pure shooter, and he and Chris Mullen do a heck of a job from the perimeter, and both of those players, when they get to the foul line, they've averaged over 91% this year from the foul line, so they both shoot the basketball very, very well.
Pasquale moving in, but a foul is called underneath. It's on an American. It's on Wood, number 5. And Wood goes over to talk to Knight. And the Canadian bench, Howard Kelsey, waiting to come back in. United States leading by 16 as they've doubled the score in Canada so far. And Eli Pasquale misses on the first foul shot. Pasquale from the University of Victoria.
What's important now is that the Canadian players don't start to second guess themselves. They got to concentrate and make these free throws.
And now let's go to the swimming pool. And once again, here is Ted Reynolds.
Thanks, Jimmy. And there's Rowdy Gaines, who has finally won a gold medal. There was a little bit of hesitation before this present.
My grandpa.
There's 36-21 for the United States. And they continue to substitute quite freely. Canada's made some substitutions. Pasquale is back in after getting a short rest when replaced by Howard Kelsey.
The USA is being very patient right now on offense, and that's Michael.
Well, that was stuffed in there by big Wayman Tisdale, and it's not too far from the basket for him. 6'9", and he just stuffed it in there, and it makes it 38-21. I'd like to know how far above the basket he was when he made contact with the ball.
It takes your breath away, Jim, because these guys fly. I mean, they're looking down at the hoop when they're catching the basketball and throwing it through.
And they got Jordan back in the game now, number 9. As passed over to him. Here goes Michael Jordan into the traffic. Lost the ball. He by Pasquale coming down court. Passing it off. And it's stuffed by Kazanowski. Gerald Kazanowski of Nanaimo, British Columbia. And it's 38-23, the United States by 15.
Good play by Kazanowski because he filled the lane very well. And Pasquale really set up the pass. He took the defensive man to the left side of the key. He had an injury here. Steve Alford's down. Looks like he caught a knee on a knee, and that hurts.
A little collision there with Pasquale as they got to their feet. 2:33 left in the half. It's hard to see anyone doing any better job against the United States on this. I don't know how. I guess maybe a lot of outside shooting might do something with them. I don't know how you'd ever beat this team.
Well, if you go to outside shooting in a situation like this, when you're 15 points down and you're cold, you're going to turn around and be 25 points down before you know it. And I think that Canada's reacting very well. They put the ball inside 3 times in a row, once to Wennington, once to Wilcher, and then they caught Kazanowski on the break. And that's where they've got to play out the rest of this half, is on the low post and on the blocks. They've got to ensure that they get into some sort of offensive rhythm where their big men can get the ball, so they put some pressure on the inside of the defense of the USA.
Steve Alford at the foul line. Missed the first, but hits the second for his 7th point. There's a lot of pressure on one individual. I was thinking the Canadian lineup. Wennington's out there now, number 12, but Wilcher, 14, puts a lot of pressure on the limited number of Canadian big men.
Well, that's right. The depth of the U.S. squad eventually is going to wear most teams down, maybe all teams down during the course of this game.
And that jumper hits. As Jordan back in the game, gets his 5th basket. He has 10 points, and it's 41-23 USA.
Got the approval of Sam the Eagle there, who's enjoying the ball game this afternoon.
And they'll enjoy him in Chicago with the Bulls, too. Jordan, superstar in the NBA coming up as Kazanowski makes a nice hook from in close.
See, now the last 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes of offense have been very good for Canada. They just got off to such a poor start that they've got to play super basketball in order to put themselves in any position to get back into this ball game.
Pasquale just got bounced, and on the play, the ball is rimmed but doesn't drop. Good work by Wennington on the rebound. And he's tripped up on the play, and there's going to be a foul, and Bobby Knight wants to talk to Jeff Turner, who had a great opportunity to score when he got loose, but didn't put it away, and you'll see it again here. Oh, look at Pasquale take a belt there from Turner.
Right here, all alone inside, and just missed the chippy. That's all there was to it. Wennington really has been an aggressive rebounder this afternoon. He's grabbed 3 or 4 rebounds already. He's been playing well for the Canadian team. The problem for Wennington has been that he was injured early on in the pre-Olympic training, and the team got into a rhythm of playing without him. And for the most part, he's been substituting for Wilcher and giving him a break. But the team plays effectively when both players that size are in the ballgame together, and Wennington has played well when he's been given the opportunity.
This is Bill Wennington after missing his first. He's at the foul line again and hits this one. his third point of the game, and it's 41-26. Now, the Canadian team, like I guess any team at the end of a practice or during a practice, shoots a lot of foul shots, but they haven't been too sharp at the foul line against Spain or in this game. Another jumper by Jordan. This time just fails to drop. And rebounding is Gerald Kazanowski to Eli Pasquale. 11:45 left in the half. Or rather, 1:45 left in the half. That extra digit is the 10th of a second on the clock. Pasquale. Tillman puts it up. Carl Tillman from Calgary, his first shot, and it rimmed but didn't drop, and the ball was brought up court by Steve Alford. Now we're in the last minute of the half. 41-26 for the United States. Leon Wood. Tisdale back to Wood. Todd wants some more scoring. They might get one with that shot. No, they didn't. The rebound controlled by Turner. Being tied up, and he might have been fouled in there by Tillman.
He gets fouled by Tillman, and that hurts. When you work hard on the defensive end of the floor and you get a team to shoot an outside shot, and
well, it's 41-26 here, and here is Ted Reynolds.
Thanks, Jim. The women are just getting ready to jump into the water.
Were she here, crucial stage, Canada has to close the gap. If they let it go to 20 points, then I'm afraid they're going to just be playing for respectability the rest of the way. But if they can shut down the States for the first 2 or 3 minutes of the half and put a little string of offensive baskets together, then they've got a chance to maintain a position where they can win the game in the second half. And this is going to be a very important 2 minutes.
Michael Jordan hits for the United States. First basket of the second half. 45-28 for the United States. And Jordan now has 12 points, and he's the leading scorer in the game. The leading scorer for Canada in the first half, Gerald Kazanowski with 8. Eli Pasquale failed to hit and got knocked down as he shot. And Pasquale still down on the court after being belted by Patrick Ewing, who was about 2 Eli Pasquales.
Well, the USA is not going to make this game very complicated in terms of their approach to it. They're going to play basic, solid, man-to-man defense. And Canada now is starting to run some set plays against this defense, whereas in the first half, I thought they were trying to maintain some form of continuous offense. So now you're going to see some double screens on the low post, and they're going to try to run some shooters behind some screens to see if they can't free up some of the guards in particular for some easy shots.
Greg Wilger tried that shot, and it failed, and out comes the United States as Vern Fleming passes off to Perkins. Back at the key, there's the jumper that's short. The rebound tapped up off the target, and Wilger winds up with the ball. Pasquale. 2 minutes gone, second half. 20-minute half. The United States leading 45-28. Pasquale passing underneath, and Wilger had the ball knocked out of his hands. The good work of Alvin Robertson, number 8. He's from Arkansas.
And Robertson showed quick hands there, but he also is a skilled offensive player, and he's been the most consistent player on the USA team. He's been up there in statistics and rebounds, steals, assists, and scoring.
Again, Canada failed to cash in, but Wilger battles for the ball, and it's brought up court. Passed off to Perkins. Number 14, Sam Perkins. Now Robertson to Fleming. Vern Fleming.
You're going to have to earn your stripes on defense against the U.S. squad. They're not going to take a bad shot. They're going to be persistent and work until they get the quality shot that they want out of their offensive movement.
Here's the chance for Fleming, and he just fails to hit that jumper. Rebound by Kazanowski to Triano. Fleming, number 7, guarding Triano. Into Sims, puts it up on the rim, but no good. Kazanowski tries to put it up and is fouled underneath. 2 of the members of the Canadian team did not get on the floor in the first half. Gord Herbert from Penticton and Rommel Raffin from Calgary, who was a member of the 1976 Canadian Olympic team.
See Tony Sims take it hard to the basket, and Kazanowski goes up and grabs a good rebound, and you can see Robertson just reached in there and hooked his arm.
Somebody's yelling switch as Sims passes it into Pasquale. 3 minutes gone, second half. 45-28 for the United States.
Now, there's a danger sign. You're seeing Pasquale dribble, and the reason is not because he's trying to maintain control of the ball, but he's having a hard time finding an open passing lane.
Chance for Sims. Hits the jumper. Tony Sims. And it's 45-30. Sims now with 6 points in the game. Got 3 fouls quite early, so didn't play a lot in the latter stages of the first half. Fleming. Jumper by Robertson. Alvin Robertson.
Now the tempo of the game is certainly slow enough for Canada to try to measure themselves offensively and get a good shot, but I'm not sure that they can afford the luxury of that tempo, the score being what it is.
Sims trying that shot. It's tipped underneath to Kazanowski. Kazanowski putting it up again. They're going to count that basket. I think they will. Kazanowski scoring, and it's 47-32.
Well, that worked out well, and Kazanowski's doing a good job on the boards. Getting back to tempo of play, I think that you're looking at a 15-point deficit, and now, even this early in the second half, because of the quality of team that you're playing in terms of the U.S., Canada may have to extend their defense. They've already extended it out of the 2-3 zone back to man-to-man. They've got to do that. They just can't afford to lay back in the zone, but they may have to come even further with it and go at the U.S. and show them a little pressure. 16 minutes on the clock. They're going to have to do something to generate turnovers, get a few extra possessions, and hope that they play highly efficient offense down the home stretch so that they can close the gap and be in a position to win the game maybe in the last 5 or 6 minutes. But I think now would be a good time to make that move.
Gerald Kazanowski, University of Victoria and Nanaimo, British Columbia. Hitting the foul shot, so it becomes a 3-point play. Kazanowski now has 11 points in this game. It's 47-33. The United States leading by 14. So the lead has been narrowed somewhat. Fleming with the ball. Passing it off.
Now Canada's back in his own defense after that last offensive series. So Jack is still trying to mix defenses.
The jumper by Perkins. Hits. Sam Perkins now has 6 points.
Perkins is an excellent shooter for a big man. He became friends with James Worthy, the outstanding LA Laker star, when he was a junior at the World Cup tournament in Brazil, and shortly after, Perkins decided to sign at North Carolina, James Worthy's alma mater.
Jay Triano, and it's batted out of the air by Perkins. Kazanowski tried to put it up, couldn't get over those outstretched arms, gets another opportunity. Passing to Triano, he banks it in. Jay Triano from Gerald Kazanowski.
Good move by Kazanowski. Might not be wise for Gerald to try turnaround jumpers with all the size in there, but if he can get a drop step and gain good inside position, he can take the ball to the hoop on those big guys. He made a nice pass to Triano, who stuck in there and got the basket.
4 points for Triano. And Canada gets possession on that turnover, 49-35. 14-point lead for the United States, who led 43-28 at the half. Well, they've only scored 6 points in the half in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Pasquale to Sims, makes a move, goes in close, puts it up, and won't drop it. It's tipped in by Greg Wilger. Wilger tipped it home. 49-37, it's a 12-point lead.
See, a player like Sims can cause some problems for the defense, because if you leave Wilcher on the low post and his man leaves to help out on Sims's penetration, then you got a 7-footer unguarded at the hoop, and that's just what happened.
Perkins hits. Perkins set up by Jordan, who went high in the air and then passed it off. And Perkins now with 8 points in the game and a couple of jumpers that really has kept the United States on the board in the last few minutes. Perkins is the only big guy been able to hit for them, as Pasquale put it up after the whistle. Jack Donahue.
You just saw Jack Donahue. Now, I'm sure what he's trying to do here is play this game in segments, 5-minute segments, saying, okay, now we've held our own. We didn't get the run we wanted to in the first 5 minutes of the half. Let's see if we can chip away 4 or 5 points off the lead in the second 5 minutes. And then around the 10-point mark, he's got it down to 9 or 10 points, and you can try to make a run into the last 5 minutes. You can't look at the game globally. You got to chop it into segments when you're trying to make a comeback like Canada must do right now.
Sims missed that good opportunity to score. Now the jumper from the corner by Jordan off the rim. Pasquale tipped the ball. It goes to Wilger, to Triano, to Pasquale. 51-37. The United States leading by 14. Pasquale trying to get away from Fleming. Wilger underneath to Triano, puts it in. Jay Triano.
they cleared out the low post nicely there, and I saw Wiltshire on the wing, and my first reaction was that the defensive pressure is pushing the big man away from the hoop, but it may have been planned. Pull out the center, and they cut the guards to the hoop.
Alford hits. Steve Alford, such a smooth, good outside shooter, now has 9 points in the game. 53-39. Pasquale. Kazanowski. Wilger. Pasquale from the corner. Doesn't drop. Loose ball. And Sims battling with Alford. And they'll have a jump ball. 12:46 left to play in the basketball game. United States 53 and Canada 39. Alford, number 4 for USA, the youngest player in the team, a 19-year-old from Indiana. Bobby Knight, of course, is a legend as the coach. 14 is big Sam Perkins. Puts it up and hits. The crowd told him to shoot, so you might as well flip it through.
Perkins has been a real thorn in the side. It's demoralizing when you get a 6'11" front court player jump to the outside as he has during the second half and stroke those long jump shots.
Wilger couldn't reach a pass from Kazanowski, and the United States get possession. Jack Donahue at the Canadian bench. Steve Konchalski of St. Francis Xavier, and Anaganish is his assistant coach. I think they could be proud the way the team is scrapping in this one. They're not expected to be, I wouldn't think, this close in the ball game. The jumper from the side, and now the Americans really starting to hit as Michael Jordan hits again.
That was a great individual move by Jordan, too. He just took the ball, moved to his left, and then spun around a complete 180 and made a real power jump shot. Jordan really has not had an opportunity to run enough minutes together to show his stuff. And there's Greg Wiltshire again with another inside basket. The Canadian team has played very, very well over the last 6 minutes, well enough to have closed the gap somewhat. The problem is that they have to maintain that now for the next few minutes. If they can just make one more little run, they'll be in a position to call a timeout, get themselves together with 5 or 6 minutes left, and maybe take a run at catching the Americans.
Well, now we're going to take a break in the basketball and go to the pool, and here again is Ted Reynolds.
Very much, Jim. You're looking at the world and Olympic record holder
In the United States. Alford from the corner, excellent outside shooter, but this time passing off, gets a return pass. There's his favorite spot. This time he hits it out again. He's been deadly from the corner.
Steve Alford really is a fine shooter. He's busted this zone and busted the perimeter game wide open for the U.S. in the second half here.
Now 13 points for Steve Alford. He looks small out there. He's only 6'1". Only, I say, because look at the giants he's working with.
Well, he should look small, too.
Right. Pasquale's that height, too. That's Pasquale with the ball to Sims, driving in, and there's a foul called underneath. And I think it is on Sims for a charge. 6:24 left in the game, 67-46, as the United States is now getting into a much more comfortable lead. It was narrowed to, I think, 11 points at its closest in this second half. And you had the feeling maybe that it might get it right up closer, but the outside shooting of Alford. Jordan came back in and got a couple. Sam Perkins hitting well from the outside. And the United States is in a comfortable 67-46 lead.
You just had a mouthful of some first-round NBA draft picks there, Jim. It sounds like a pro draft instead of an Olympic team. They got some fine talent. I think one of the things that had to have happened was that Canada had to come out of their preferred game plan a little bit and try something. Try to extend some pressure, try to go into a trapping defense, try to do something to take a run at the USA and generate some turnovers and throw them off their rhythm, because they're too fine a ball club just to be able to play at the same tempo during the whole second half and not get extremely efficient offensively. And as you mentioned, Perkins hit some jump shots, and then Jordan came back in off the bench and hit some, and Alford did as well. Now it really looks difficult, and it'll be interesting to see how Jack Donahue handles this, because with 6 and change to go, it's a 19-point deficit. It's going to be extremely difficult now to come back, and I think probably what's on their mind is that they'd like to play very tough, establish the fact that they can be competitive with the USA, because if they have the opportunity in the crossovers to meet them again, after the final rounds begin, then they certainly want to be in a good psychological position. They don't want the USA to feel that they're pushovers. They want to give them something to be concerned about.
Tony Sims hitting a foul shot. Gets another one. Sims with 7 points on the day. Canada plays China tomorrow morning at 11 Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. The men's competition differs from the women's in that there are 12 teams, 2 groups of 6 in the men's competition. After a round robin in each group, the top 4 in each group go into the medal competition. So 8 teams go for the medals. Whereas in the women's tournament, there are only 6 teams, and every game counts towards who plays for the medals. On August the 7th, 4 teams play off for medals. But the round robin leads towards the medals, whereas in the men's, you can afford a loss or 2 and still get in the medal competition. Canada, unless they pull the big upset here in the late stages, would be 0-2 at the end of the first couple of games, and Sims down on the court complaining as he's called for a foul. France is also 0-2. And after tonight, there will be another team with a loss. But at this stage, it would look like France and Canada are the teams under some pressure going into the last 4 games of the tournament.
Well, Canada definitely has pressure. I think the Spain game the other day was a cushion game for them. Had they won it, they really would have had a cushion into at least the Final 4 in their pool. But now, having lost that game, tomorrow, the Chinese game becomes a very crucial game for them. They absolutely cannot lose that game if they're going to wind up in the top 4 in the pool.
That basket by Chris Mullin shooting from outside, and it's now 69-48. United States leading by 21 points with 5.5 minutes left. Pasquale with the ball. Kazanowski's pass underneath. Wennington puts it on the rim, and it drops in. Bill Wennington scoring. United States 69, Canada 50 with 5:20 left on the clock.
All right, thank you, Jim Robson and Brian Heaney out at the Los Angeles Forum.
United States against Canada. Go to Keith Jackson and Digger Phelps at the Forum.
All right, Jim, we're at 5 minutes and 13 seconds to play in the ball game. Actually, this is a 4-digit board, 513.6 if you want precision, 69-50. The USA on top by 19 points, but at one time, early in the second half, Canada came back and pulled within 11 points and threatened to make a ball game out of it. And then suddenly Michael Jordan took command, and bang, 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 they ran out to a big lead.
Also, Sam Perkins got hot, and both of them together just really dominated Canada with a spurt to blow at the 20. The bench has been a key factor for the United States. Whoever comes off, as we see right now, Chris Mullin shooting a foul shot from St. John's. Mullin is a great shooter. He just hit one before this. He just has 4 quick points. Leon Wood now has 17 assists in the whole tournament, and this is something that I think has been outstanding for his type of floor play.
And committed only 1 turnover, which is another very important factor. Leon Wood, number 5, guarding Eli Pasquale, number 6. That's Greg Wiltshire out of British Columbia, taking it to the board, and the ball is tipped in, and it's a 71-52 ball game. Bill Wennington, one of Lou Carnesecca's players, now has 8 points in the ball game. Got that basket. This is Patrick Ewing up and in, and a whistle.
And this is how it's been for the United States. He's inside. He knows he's got a player on him that he can take with his turnaround baseline shot and puts it in for a 3-point attempt.
That's Patrick Ewing's first points of this ball game, 73-52. Patrick with an opportunity to make it a 3-point play. There you see the United States bench. Bobby Knight has been patrolling with some vigor today, but so far they haven't done much to it.
Surprisingly, Steve Alford has been getting a lot of playing time. A guard that they're going to need down the road. I think he's done a lot of good things. He has 12 points right now from the field, and he has 1 on the foul line for a total of 13. So Alford has been a big factor in this second half with playing time.
Patrick Ewing makes it a 74-52, 22-point lead, USA. Leon Wood checking now on Kelsey of Canada. Shot is up by Tillman, and hits nothing but twine as it goes through.
Well, when
so
you're
it's a 20-point lead.
Keith, what happens there? You come off the bench, you know you're down 20, you just play your game, and this is what he did in that shot.
Leon Wood looks inside, goes to the corner for Chris Mullin. Mullin's shot comes off inside, a whistle and a foul called on Jeff Turner, who's here out of Vanderbilt. A 20-point lead, 74-54 with 4 minutes and 21 seconds to play in the game.
What we've seen here in this replay, Mullins takes a shot. Chris Mullin, of course, an excellent shooter from that position. Turner gets underneath and commits the foul. It's the second foul coming into the situation.
Michael Jordan is the only American player in foul trouble. He has 4.
Canada's only hope right now is to go to a full court press in every type of situation, and this would be a challenge for them to do this. We could see this right after this foul shot right now because they are known for doing the pressing after foul shots.
Down by 20 with 4:21 to play. And the international game, you can't say it is the door has not closed, because we saw Canada up in Toronto in the final game tournament come storming back against the Yugoslavs after they were down by 14, and they did it in about 2 minutes.
What happened in this game, though, Keith, the United States established a defensive pressure, which is what they're known for, got the game tempo going their way early, got the big lead, and have maintained the rebounding, which Canada has not done at both ends of the floor.
Particularly on the offensive board, it's been all USA, and Canada's foul shooting has really been poor. In both games, they had the 1-point loss to Spain, 83-82. Chris Mullin has it hit the back iron. Jeff Turner wrestling inside with it, and we've got a whistle.
The key point in the Spain game, losing a game by 1 when you miss 16 foul shots. Now here's Chris coming through. Mullin misses a shot. Good offensive rebound by Turner.
4:50 Canada. Substitutions made for the U.S. team. Keith Jackson and Digger Phelps here at the Forum. Joe Klein has stepped in. You saw the high scorers for the game. Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan each have 4 personal fouls. Vern Fleming has returned along with Alvin Robertson. Chris Mullin is in at a wing position for the U.S. For Canada now, you have substitutions. John Hatch is in. He's number 10. Howard Kelsey is number 4. Number 11 is in. Gordon Herbert. He played at the University of Idaho. Was on that great Idaho team up there. Patrick Ewing on the free throw line. Drops it softly through. Carl Tilleman is at the guard position. He is out of the University of Calgary, where the Winter Games of 1988 will be held. Ewing makes his second free throw. Your score now is 76-57. Canada pulled within 11 points in the second half, but the U.S. turned it around, took it the other way, and obviously remain the solid, heavy favorite to win the gold medal.
Very true, Keith, and why is because of their bench and the way that Coach Knight has them playing. They're playing very aggressive at both ends of the floor. They just come after you in situations where you don't play your game, and that's what's important to understand, that the United States is forcing teams to play their way, and that's going to be something as we go through this trail of the Olympics.
There was one woman's score today that was a bit of a surprise, too. Korea beating Yugoslavia 55-52. This is Patrick Ewing losing control of it. The ball is hit out of bounds, and it'll go over to Canada.
There's your international right here.
Back it comes, and Ewing down court blocks the shot, but it hits the baseline and tumbles out of bounds, and Canada gets it back.
Anytime there's a turnover, as we see, you can get it in bounds by yourself without the official touching it. Ewing just comes back, and this is how this game's been played. Intimidation by Ewing inside.
And you don't have the lob pass or the alley-oop for the slam dunks inside. You can't affect it that way. The wide lane, for one thing, creating a much larger restricted area, so you've got to attack a little bit differently. It is now 76-61 USA, and a foul is called on Howard Kelsey of Canada.
I like the other upset today, Keith, when China, in its first Olympic competition, upset France 85-83.
You watch the Chinese, they'll just get better and better and better as the tournament goes on, too. Drive by Vern Fleming. Basket good. Foul call. Chance for a 3-point play for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Drives the baseline. Very good play by Fleming. Gives a little hesitation move. Comes up. Makes the move towards the basket, and there's contact on the play action.
Foul is on John Hatch. Right now, I would say, having seen all the teams play at least one time, you've got to think Yugoslavia is the prime competition on the other side of the bracket for the U.S.
For 2 reasons. They have the boards that can go with the United States, and they also have the backcourt that can play very, very well. Joe Klein grabbing Patrick Ewing. Klein's the enforcer. He can handle Ewing.
He got tangled up with number 10, John Hatch. John at 6'6", 212. Patrick a 7-footer. They got locked up and came out with baleful glares both, but nothing comes of it in particular, and we go on with the ball game. 79-61 lead for the USA at 2:20 to play in the game.
Watching that action with France and Uruguay, do you think that's incidental contact?
Well, they've called some funny calls, ticky-tack stuff, and then all of a sudden they let bodies fly and stack up in the corner. So there's no consistency, as I've seen, particularly from the international officials. Vern Fleming on a rebound.
That's his game. He can get that offensive rebound. He did that at Georgia, and he can do it here for the United States.
8 points for Vern now. Tillman comes down, and he gets hot. He can run them off. He can fill it up in a hurry.
Well, Triano was 4 for 14, and this is what they needed, this outside shooting. He's turned them on.
18-point lead and only 1:40 to play. One would certainly assume it's relatively secure for the United States. Canada did come fighting back and closed within 11, but that's as close as they could get after the U.S. had a 22-4 run. And from that point on, it's been pretty much the U.S. control as Tillman puts it up from way outside, about 22 feet. Canada still controls it with Rappin coming outside. They try to take it inside, and that's one of the most difficult things you ever can hope to do, because the U.S. defensive unit, look at it, it's a bunch of trees in there. You got Ewing 7 feet, you got Klein 6'11", or they would have Contact a 7-footer. They're so big and so quick, you're going to force you to go outside the corner. And if you don't have perimeter shooting, well, you're going to get whipped.
It's over now. This is just play action where you're going down the floor. The thing that the United States doesn't want to do is lose their concentration for their objectives, which is executing their offense right now.
The next game for the U.S. will be Uruguay. They play tomorrow. Uruguay will play Spain later tonight. A whistle stops it. And next for Canada will be China. Well, you know that Canada is liable to have an emotional letdown after losing here today to the United States. China, on the other hand, has got to be soaring. They've got to be dancing in Shanghai after their team came up with a win today.
Well, what can happen is Canada cannot afford another loss right now. They've got to have their regrouping session. They've got to go over the scouting report on China. France took China very lightly today, and that's how they got in trouble, especially in the second half.
They're probably even happy in Mukta. Alvin Robertson, one of Eddie Sutton's players from Arkansas, and Ewing rolls it over the rim and through to make it 86-65 as the final seconds run away. And the United States about to be 2-0 in the men's basketball competition, joining the American women, who are 2-0. And so far, neither team has really been seriously challenged.
Defensive pressure is what the United States has been working on for 2 months, Keith, and you can see where that has paid off. They're not so much interested in what the other teams are doing as long as they do the things they want. Funnel the ball down the sideline, get weak side people to come over and help to the ball, and then do an aggressive job on the rebounding situations so that a guy like Leon Wood can get 17 assists.
Plus the fact that Canada's had some trouble on the offensive board. Their free throw shooting has just haunted them. They just haven't had any luck with it. And now they're playing in the final seconds with Kazanowski, with Tony Sims, with Greg Wiltshire, with Triano, all sitting over on the bench along with Eli Pasquale. The entire starting unit is on the bench as Jack Donahue has cleared his bench to give everybody some playing time and give everybody some experience. So the big crowd here at the Forum this afternoon surely having enjoyed the United States, at least if that was their choice for this ball game, with 39 seconds to play, leading by 20, 86-66. And a foul whistled against Howard Kelsey.
Vern Fleming, of course, right now is the spark that makes things happen for this unit. But at the same time, Keith, I feel Vern Fleming, before this whole thing is over, if the United States goes for the gold, which we all think they will do, Fleming will get it done.
Mayor Tom Bradley among those watching, and an assortment of basketball coaches at every level here today. But Mayor Tom enjoying the ball game, and what a role he has played as the City of Angels hosts the 1984 Olympic Games. I live here and I've watched it from the very beginning, and my appreciation of a lot of people in this city has gone very high. So much higher. Here's a rebound attempt that's good by Carl Tillman. So Tillman has come on late in the ball game and played very well for Jack Donahue. 87-68 now. The final score is the academic part of it. The United States has won this basketball game as the shot is tipped in by Chris Mullen, with Ewing's shot having rolled away. Just time for one more wild one from Canada. Kelsey can't get it up. The game is over. Final score, United States 89 and Canada 68. The USA 2-0, both men and women.
at Arco.
They can get themselves into rhythm and wind up qualifying for the medal crossovers.
Well, of course, they're celebrating here, seeing an expected victory, as Bobby Knight once again used most of the players on his bench. I don't think Klein got in the ball game, but the other 11 did. But the big gunners, Jordan, of course, when he was out there, was very impressive. Perkins, very impressive. And I guess it was just too much to ask to see an upset here tonight.
But you know, one of the things you have to wonder is, as the U.S. goes along and the competition gets stiffer, whether or not they're breaking their rhythm by all the substitutions been able to do in the first couple of games. They really haven't put together 5 players that have gotten any continuity. Even the great Michael Jordan has been on the bench for almost half of both of the first 2 games. So that's going to be interesting to track. On the other hand, the immediate problem for our viewers is Canada and what they're going to be able to do tomorrow, and they've just got to regroup, and I'm sure Jack's going to have a good talk with them in the locker room and hopefully keep their spirits up, and they'll come out and start to play the kind of basketball that they're capable of playing.
Now they have to play China tomorrow morning at 11 Pacific time. You mentioned the Americans have substituted a lot, haven't settled. Does it really matter? Is there a team here that can give them any kind of a battle for the gold medal?
Well, I think there are teams here that can give them that kind of a battle because the Italian team and the Spanish team are so seasoned. You're talking about people who have been in 4 Olympic Games. In the case of Italy's 2 stars, Maserati and Meneghini, they've played in 4 Olympic Games, and they're here to win a medal, and they're not going to back down from the USA. They think that there are some weaknesses on their club that they can exploit. They also think that perhaps the youth and inexperience of the USA club can be gotten to in Olympic competition. So it's a sidelight. It's a tremendous basketball team, but one has to wonder when they're going to get their rhythm, and we're going to see a team profile begin to form.
So the United States wins it by 21 points.
Well, not a guess.
There's Oscar Robertson. Beautiful shot. Oscar is on. 2-0. Attic. That's forward. It was batted out by Robertson. So Gary Rosefoot will have it out of bounds. Dyson throws deep. That's Williams. There's Art McPherson. Dyson shooting. Rebound to Mitchell. They got 3 on 2. They'll do him any good. Step called on Mitchell. 2-0. Attic still in the championship game of the 1955. Yeah, starting to pick him up a little there, Tony. Tyson. No good by Barnett. Forward a shot. A shot down fast. Jump ball. A nice block by Eisen. Eisen and Merriweather on the tip. Those 6